Hi everyone, happy Sunday. I don't know if it's Sunday where you are, or it may not even be today that you're catching this reading, but welcome anyway, whatever day it is. It's Sunday afternoon here in England. It's getting a bit dark actually, even though it's still quite, what time is it? 2 o'clock? It's only 2 o'clock. Weird. Very dark. But anyway, I'm going to get through this reading before I lose all light completely. Oh, I don't know, strange times. Anyway, for those of you who are joining me for the first time, please be aware that I always do a reading on a Sunday regarding the divine masculines who are in a karmic relationship currently. We've been following this group of divine masculines for a few months now and watched all the ebbs and flows of this relationship. So we know that they're dealing with something at the moment which is a bit out of their control, which is why we haven't seen physical movement forward from them. So it'll be interesting to see what comes up in today's reading as well. So let's go for it. Spirit, please can we tune into the energy of the divine. Oh, thank you. They're one step ahead of me today. They're very, very efficient. So we have community. Interesting. That's come up a few weeks running, actually. We have imagine. What else, please, Spirit? Was it that one? Yeah, truth be told. Okay. Whoa. Thank you. No place like home. Yeah. Oh, gosh, they're interesting. They are interesting because I get the feeling that this divine masculine is spending a lot of time just, being around. We've had this card, or its equivalent in other decks, come up several times in the last few weeks. All about him just being out and about, spending time with friends. Maybe there's people in his community that are helping him out in some way. Some of your divine masculines may have been affected by what's been happening with the pandemic, and that may have affected their work situation. They may have needed some sort of assistance in that way. I don't know why I even said that, but that's what came to me. And it feels like he's just been enjoying being around and offering support and being supported by those people in his community. It's also provided him with a bit of distraction because when he's not sort of out and about, he's very much in his headspace. But he's doing a lot of fantasizing at the moment, DF. He's doing a lot of imagining. He's imagining how his life could be different, okay? We've seen him over the last few weeks making plans. And, I think he loses himself to escape the normal, everyday sort of life with the karmic. He's escaping into his imagination here, visualizing what his life will be like when he's able to be with you, because that's what we've seen him planning over the last few weeks. And, that's where he escapes to. That's his happy place. For those of you in England, you'll know what I mean when I say that, if you've been watching I'm a Celebrity. Anyway, yeah, he's been escaping to his happy place. And while he's been doing that, he's been visualizing what that happy place will look like, but the steps he has to go through before he can actually reach his totally happy place. And here we have him opening his heart to speak his truth. I love this card. It's so beautiful because we have, the owl is a bird of wisdom anyway. So we have this bird of wisdom. We have this sort of almost like spiritual messaging coming through for him. It's allowing him to be more wise. It's allowing him to make, more definite choices that are for his highest good. And here he is opening the doors to his heart. I'm going to put that nice and close there, look. Opening the doors to his heart, and look at all the love that is coming out. They're tiny little hearts if it doesn't show properly on camera. And the card talks about truth. So this divine masculine, while he's fantasizing about his future DF and, about you being, a big part of that future, he's thinking about how he needs to open his heart. He needs to have that honest communication with you in order for him to follow the path to his happy place. Do you know, while I'm sitting here, Divine Femmes, I have trees outside my house which are beautiful, really big old established trees. And it's so interesting that I'm doing this reading right now. I wish you could see it, but I know if I fiddle with the camera, it will take me ages to get it back. And also, you probably won't be able to see it, what I'm looking at. But let me tell you what I'm looking at. So from where I'm sitting, I can see 3 birds high up in the tree. I can see 2 birds sitting together, literally side by side, very peacefully sitting together. And then a couple of branches away is 1 bird who's fidgety and keeps looking over at the other 2. And I just kind of feel that's really interesting, because here I am doing a karmic reading. We have 2 birds that are actually sitting peacefully and another one that's very agitated on the outside. And I kind of feel like the one on the outside is the karmic, who is actually, you know, resenting and somehow knowing about the existence of the divine feminine. And the other 2 are just sitting there very still, very peacefully, not even moving their heads, you know. So interesting. Anyway, you can't see it, but I hope that description sort of summed it up for you. So here we have, as I said, getting back to the reading, the divine masculine feeling that he also, do you know, this card says so many things, because look at this mask down here. Okay, this mask to me says many things. He needs to speak his truth to the divine feminine about the fact that he's been wearing a mask in his karmic relationship. He also knows that he needs to speak that truth to the karmic about the fact that this isn't real, you know? But more than that, this face, this mask, almost reminds me of some sort of Oscar. You know the Oscar statues. It reminds me of that, and it's almost like, you know, I'm putting on a face for the public. I'm putting on a face for people in my community. You know, and I don't actually want to wear this anymore. But the actual interesting thing about this is that when I speak to my divine feminine, I will feel like I've won my award. I will feel like I've earned it. So, you know, it's really interesting how many meanings can be picked up from one card. And that card is so beautiful and so meaningful today. And he knows in his imagination that, you know, you are home to him, divine femme. And he knows there's no place like it, you know? He knows that when he comes home to you, no one's going to be able to touch it. That's why this house is up high. You know, it's hanging there, it's balancing. But there's a part of him, when he's in his fear energy, there's a part of him that is fearful that, you know, it's all very delicate and that it could come crashing down at any time if he doesn't handle it correctly. Okay, so, you know, this is what he's deep in his thoughts. When he's not distracting himself out and about with friends, he's, you know, in his imagination, but also thinking through all these scenarios about when he has to be honest with you and what it's going to be like, how he's going to feel like he truly belongs at home with you, divine femme. So interesting. Right, let's have a look. I'm going to use the same cards actually. So let's have a look at how the karmic is feeling. How is the karmic feeling this week, please? How's the karmic feeling? Ooh, we have not for you. Let's see what the other cards bring. I've not spaced my camera very well this week. I'm having all sorts of camera issues this week. I don't know why. There we go. Does that give us a bit more space? Okay. Then we have... Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, dear. We have Orphaned. Well, that's interesting. Let's see what the other 2 are, and then we'll go through them. What else for the karmic, please, Spirit? We have Mending. Ooh, I'm picking up almost a defeated energy here from the karmic. And we have Why. Okay, so we have the karmic deep in thought as well. She, I'm sure, is picking up the energy of the divine masculine and his distance, you know. If he is spending his time either out of the house with friends or in his imagination and deep in his thoughts, she's going to be feeling very isolated, very distant, and these cards kind of show us that. The Not For You card is telling us that she is feeling insecure. She's beginning to question this relationship for herself. You know, if the divine masculine is being very distant from her, she will know that this connection is not working because she'll feel it, you know. And she really was. She went through a lot of time. We have a fortune cookie in the middle. And she really was hoping that her fortunes would change, that somehow, you know, in last week's reading, we were seeing her put in an extra effort and being quite sort of creative about how she could win back the affections of the divine masculine. But it seems like he's becoming more and more distant. So, you know, this fortune cookie, she's hoping to break open and have good news from. But in actual fact, no. She's realising that, you know, regardless of what moves she makes, and here we have this chessboard, you know, where last week we saw her making these creative moves, you know, this week it's almost like she doesn't know what move to make anymore. And she's beginning to question whether this relationship is for her. Okay, now that is a major step forward. Part of that, though, is I feel it's on quite a deep level. I feel that, again, in front of the community, she's keeping up appearances. She's still wearing her mask. But she's feeling very alone. That card's quite dark. Can you see it? It's an orphaned card. She's feeling very alone here. She doesn't know quite how she's going to cope with the future. She doesn't know quite how she's going to cope with a breakup, but she is feeling that she is going to be on her own here. I only say she because that's what comes to me. So please, you know, interpret it, whether it's male or female for you, please interpret it in the way that you need to. But she is feeling very lonely, you know, and she will be, because as I said, if the divine masculine is withdrawing all his attention from her, then she is going to feel very alone. Excuse me. Do you remember, for those of you that have followed the channel since the beginning of the karmic readings, really, do you remember how I used to say damage limitation? I used to say that the divine masculine wanted to handle this situation with damage limitation, and that is why it was taking so long to sort out. Because, you know, he didn't want to cause hurt to anybody. He was trying to be the good guy, you know. He is a good guy. But, you know, he was trying to get out of it without anybody being hurt. And it was impossible, really. But, you know, he was trying his best. Well, here we have the karmic trying to mend this situation, trying to, you know, do what she can to try and put this right. But I don't get the feeling, whereas last week she was putting in loads of effort, this week I feel like she's making token gestures to try and be nice and try and sort of, you know, weather the storm. It almost feels like the fight has gone out of the karmic at this stage. And again, in some ways, she's very much in her own thoughts because, you know, here she is questioning, why has this happened? What is going on in my world, you know? Why doesn't he love me? Why don't we, you know, feel like we did when we first met? Why, you know? But this karmic has, you know, spent a lot of time trying to convince herself that she is the centre of this divine masculine's world, when in actual fact, you know, she hasn't ever really been, to be honest. So, you know, it's sad. It's very, very sad. But there were lessons that needed to be learned on both sides, you know. So let's see what comes next. Where do we go with this? Let's go with these, please. So, Let's see how the Divine Masculine is feeling about each of these stages. How is he feeling when he's out and about in the community? What's he using the community for, please? Thank you. Oops. Success and growth. So it may be that a part of him being out and about is about him creating new links, you know, looking for maybe new job opportunities, just basically feeling better, but it almost feels like he's using it for forward movement. So he's doing a lot of, the Spirit have just said networking. So he's doing a lot of networking while he's out and about in the community. He may well be, you know, looking for people to, you know, give him advice on how to handle his current situation. I don't feel that this Divine Masculine is talking to a lot of people about it, though. I really don't. Over the past few weeks, if you've seen on the channel the Divine Masculine reads, just the general Divine Masculine reads, you will see that he has been seeking some sort of help and guidance in a almost like a counselling way. That doesn't mean it's going to apply to all your Divine Masculines, but certainly it's been coming up in a lot of these readings. And so it may well be that he's seeking that sort of support out in the community to help his growth. So how does he feel when... Thank you. Yeah, look, he is really... I was just going to say, the Spirit are really on it today. They're giving me the cards before I ask the question. So, you know, regarding his imagination... Like we said earlier, he is seeking his truth, you know. While he's imagining scenarios, he's really getting in touch with his inner feelings, those feelings that he doesn't feel it's safe to verbalise to people around him. This Divine Masculine has had a lot of interference from people. We've seen that in previous readings. And, you know, he stays within his headspace a lot because he's fearful of sharing how he really feels. And... here we have him really, you know, opening his heart, seeking his truth within. You know, he's thinking about being truthful a lot because, you know, we had the truth card in the first set of cards. Now we have seek the truth here. So, you know, he's being, the difference between these two is that I see... this being the truth within. So this is really him in his imagination, but getting in touch with his innermost feelings. Okay? Whereas this one is about him expressing those innermost feelings to someone else, which is going to be you, Divine Femme. You know, I say that with confidence, even though we don't see it in this reading, because it has come up time and time again in the last few weeks' reading. He is planning how he can move on from this karmic situation and move more towards his truth. So why do we have this truth be told? What are the steps here, Spirit? Yeah. Yeah, look at this. It is you. They're just confirming in this particular deck. I always look upon this as my Twin Flame Soulmate card. And, you know, he needs to speak his truth. For some of them, they may feel that time is running out. They may worry about you not feeling the same way, Divine Femmes, if you've not been in contact. Or he may well just be worried that from his perspective, things are getting difficult with the karmic, but he doesn't know quite how to break away and he's left it too long. But, you know, this is what he's aiming for. He knows he needs to be truthful about where his heart lies. Or lays, I think. English, really? So, how's he feeling about this no place like home, please, Spirit? How's he feeling about the no place like home? Intriguing. There's a bit of, I know this says choose your battles, but for me the word that came up was intimidation. So he knows he's going to be at home. Once things are settled and sorted with you, he knows that he's going to feel like he's spiritually home. But he's feeling, you see this figure here, just there. He's feeling intimidated at the moment. So, you know, he's a bit worried about the reaction he's going to get from you because of what's been happening, you know, with him being in a different relationship. he worries about not only you, but the reaction of other people. Look how big they look and how stony-faced they are. Obviously, they're stony-faced because they're statues, but you know what I mean. He is worried about the pressure he's going to be put under by people around him, and also that people aren't going to be happy with him. But he knows this is where he wants to be. So this is the dilemma that he's actually fighting at the moment. Can we switch to the karmic, please, Spirit? Why is the karmic feeling not for her? What is that all about, please? Why do they feel it's not for them? They've given us 2 anyway, so let's see what these 2 are. Okay, that makes sense. It didn't make sense on its own. So, you know, I said that the karmic is beginning to question whether this relationship is for her or for him, depending on whether the karmic's male or female. But, you know, here we have them wondering whether they should be taking the lead in moving on. I think they're going to find that very difficult to do, to be honest, because this karmic has been very dependent on this particular divine masculine, you know, in financial matters, in, you know, emotional support matters, in keeping her profile high, you know, any of those things. She's relied on him to do that. But here she is saying, you know what, I don't know whether this relationship is for me now, and certainly, you know, the divine masculine isn't paying me the attention that I need for me. So should I take the lead? You know, should I move on? Should I be the one to take that step? Am I going to have to? Maybe that's what she's thinking. You know, am I going to be put in a position where I have to move on my own? You know, taking the lead in my life, taking responsibility for me. Am I going to have to do that? Interesting. So why is she feeling orphaned, please? Why is the karmic feeling orphaned? Why is she feeling orphaned? She was hoping that the bond between them was going to be strengthened, and I'm pretty sure that came up in last week's reading, that, you know, this is what she was working on. But, you know, now what she was hoping for and how she's feeling are contradicting each other, because the bonds aren't strengthening. She's feeling very, very alone, you know, and maybe it's still her aim to strengthen the bonds, you know, maybe that is what she's hoping for. But, you know, it's not looking good. She feels really, I feel quite a heavy energy when I'm on this side of the reading. It feels just, yeah, just heavy, basically. So why do we have mending energy, please? How does she feel about this mending energy? Thank you. Oh, look, again, we have the take the lead card, but this is sort of different. You know, this is her, and again, this is about her using sexual power, which is what we've seen from the beginning. You know, we have the flames of passion here. So, you know, she's maybe trying to mend this situation by using her sexual presence, by, you know, being very passionate and enticing him back in that way. That's what worked in the beginning, so maybe she's thinking it will still work now. Okay, but she's questioning this whole relationship. She's questioning why this has happened, you know? So let's see why. Spirit, what can you tell us about why? Yeah, she wants there to be an equal balance of giving and receiving, and at the moment there isn't, you know? The divine masculine is distancing himself emotionally more and more, so the actual receiving isn't happening as much. And she's confused about that, you know? It may have been that in the early days of their relationship, the divine masculine was very giving, you know? Both sort of emotionally, physically, sexually, financially, you know, and that's what she was getting used to. That's what she wanted. But, you know, here, she's questioning why, what's happened, what have I done, you know? Why isn't this happening? There's almost like a childlike sort of energy there. The sort of, you know, I don't know why anybody could possibly do this to me, you know? It's that sort of feel about it, which is very sad. You know, these are tough lessons that the karmic is learning. And, you know, it's tough lessons that the divine masculine's learning, because he's got himself into this situation and now he's got to figure out how he gets out, you know? So, interesting. Okay, I'm just going to do some joint energy. Oops, down the middle. Let's do some joint energy and then we'll do some steps forward, which is the format we normally do, isn't it? Spirit are way ahead of me today. I think I'm being too slow for their liking. Okay, so we have reach out. That's interesting. We have speak with love. Interesting. I'm going to get all four because that is not what I was expecting. We have decorate. And what's the final one, please? Spread the light. They want me to take 5. Get over yourself. Oh, interesting. So, we have the reach out energy. This is the joint energy between them. So, it means different things. This is why I said I wasn't expecting it. It's quite interesting, really, because we have them both reaching out in different directions. You know, for some of them, there may be a small child involved here, or a child. They don't have to be small, but, you know, they may be still in this situation because of a link with children. But what I see here in terms of reaching out is that the divine masculine, because he's trying to sort of, you know, grow and distract himself from the situation he's in, he's reaching out to the community for that support, for that growth, for that forward movement, really. And I do get a career link there, so I think he is networking, as we said earlier. But for the divine, for the karmic, you know, she's reaching out to other people for support because she's wondering, you know, how will she cope if she has to move on? Okay, so I don't know. At this moment in time, it's not clear. I don't get about whether, sorry, I must finish my sentence. It's not clear as to whether or not this karmic is talking to other people about her fears. I suspect not, because I think she's keeping up this facade that everything is okay, because that's what she wants. That's what how she wants it to be. We have the speak with love card. We know that this divine masculine is in his headspace, but also within his emotions. He's in his headspace in as much as he's using his imagination a lot. He's fantasizing a lot. But he's also doing this soul searching. He's seeking the truth. He's maybe thinking his thoughts, his truthful thoughts. And he knows that time has come for him to speak with love to all concerned. So he has to speak with love to the karmic in order to leave a situation peacefully. He has to speak to the divine feminine in order to move forward in the direction he wants to go. Whereas the speak with love card, where the karmic is concerned, is around her, you know, still wondering if they can strengthen these bonds, you know, because she's feeling really alone. So she's trying to bring loving energy back in. The way that she's doing it, though, as we've seen, is in a very sexual way. So the decorate card is always interesting. It comes up a lot in these karmic readings, and I don't know whether that's about things being false, you know, made to look sort of better than they are, but it just feels like sorry, I need to go to the karmic first. It feels like, you know, she is taking the lead sexually. She is trying to put in that extra bit of effort, even though it's a bit more low-key than it was last week. It's not as creative as it was last week. It's almost like, you know, she's sort of picking her moments to sort of entice the divine masculine back in. You know, the divine masculine, in terms of this, yeah, I think for him, you know, I think the two cards we've already had speak volumes, you know. He wants to speak his truth with his divine feminine, but it's almost like he wants it to be as good as it is. He wants things to be the best when he moves forward towards her, you know, which is perhaps why he's working hard and doing networking there, because he wants to be able to come forward with something solid to offer. Again, we have, where do we start, Spirit? Yeah, okay. Look, this is very much a joint energy between them. They don't want any bad feeling. Even the divine masculine, who is sort of fed up with this relationship, you know, he still wants to spread some light. He doesn't want to be badly thought of, and that's been part of the problem. That is what's helping him stay where he is, because he doesn't want to be seen as the bad guy, you know. But so both of them are trying to spread some sort of light, but they're doing it differently, you know. He doesn't want to be, because he's feeling that if he steps forward towards the person he really wants to be with, it's all going to be very intimidating, because people are going to make judgments about him, and he feels very uncomfortable about that. So at the moment, he's still pretending that everything is fine. When they're out and they meet other people think that, you know, they're leading the light in the darkness sort of thing, whereas they're not. And the same with the karmic, as I said earlier. You know, I don't think she's talking to other people because she's keeping up this facade that, you know, they're leading the way here with their light in the darkness. But, you know, it must be exhausting for both of them, because they're not being truthful. And the divine masculine feels under immense pressure regarding the truth, because he's realising big time from going through his awakening that that's what he needs to do, you know? And then we were given this extra card, which is all about, you know, ego death, really. This is all about, you know, get over yourself. Spirit are sending a very definite message to the karmic and the divine masculine that they actually need to get rid of their egos. And I think for the divine masculine, that has been happening through the last few months. There's definitely been a breaking down of the ego and the spiritual awakening for a lot of the divine masculines. You know, and they're being told, you know, you need to put this ego aside, because if you don't stand in your truth, then, you know, you're not going to be able to move forward with where you really want to be, you know. I think the karmic is still learning some lessons here, but again, you know, they're being encouraged to be very honest instead of keeping up this facade of, you know, everything's gleaming in our world and we're spreading light to our community. No, you're not. And I'm surprised that the community haven't seen it, to be honest. Maybe some of them have. Right, I'm just going to have a drink of water, then I'm going to do some next steps with tarot, and then we need to finish. So, let's see. Let's do some next steps. Let's do the next steps that I'm only going to do the divine masculine, because that's what we really need to know. So what are the next steps that the divine masculine is going to take, please, Spirit? What are the next steps that the divine masculine is going to take? What are the next steps, please? Okay, yeah. There's going to be some justice brought into this situation. He wants to restore a sense of balance in his life. You know, he feels like he's being pulled in one direction, pulled in another. There's people that all want a piece of him. He wants to restore some balance. There may also be some legal issues to sort out here. So if your divine masculine owns a property or co-rents a property with the karmic, then that will have to be sorted out. And it may well end up in some sort of court situation for some of them. Also, if there are children, we saw a child in this card up here. If there are children involved, then there may well be legal matters regarding access or as you call it in the States, visitation rights. We call it access here. you know, there's all that to be worked out. So, you know, he's maybe, while he's out in the community, seeking advice regarding legal matters. Yeah, and here's all these gossiping people. Look, this is the divine masculine having to deal with all these people's opinions around him. That's why I said earlier, when he's out in the community, he's not talking to lots of people about how he's feeling. He's keeping up the facade because he knows that all these people who have an opinion about his relationship are not going to be happy when he chooses a different path. Okay, but the fact that this card has come up shows us that he's very aware that these people are not helping his situation, which is really good news, because for a long time he just went along with what they said, you know, and that's how he ended up in the situation he's in. I hope you can see those cards. I know they're not standing out amongst the backdrop of everything else, but yeah, look, we have the Magician card. You know, so he's working hard to manifest the outcome that he wants. And, you know, Spirit are really guiding him and really assisting him with this, you know. So he may find that, you know, he has some lucky breaks, that, you know, things sort of fall into place and he doesn't realise why, you know, because he is slowly manifesting the outcome that he wants from this situation. What can the divine... Oh, thank you. Yeah, he wants his happiness, look. They're really ahead of me. I was just about to say, what can the divine feminine expect from the divine masculine? And they've given me the Sun card, which is all about total bliss, total happiness. You know, that's what he wants. That's what he wants with you. What else? What else can the divine feminine expect, please? Yeah, look at this. I mean, how beautiful is this reading today? The Six of Cups is... I'm loving this card at the moment, and it's coming up a lot. It can relate to matters from childhood, but in this context, with the divine masculine manifesting the outcome he wants, you know, taking advice on legal matters, becoming very aware of who the people are that he can trust and can't trust to give their opinion, heading towards his bliss. Here we have him manifesting all of this, along with a return to the divine feminine. This is somebody from the past returning, divine femme. So if you haven't heard from your divine masculine for a while, don't be surprised if you suddenly hear that he's local, or if you suddenly hear from him. If any of you have suddenly heard from your divine masculines after a long time of not hearing from them, then please do let us know, because it gives us hope. Not that we should need that, because we should, you know, keep our faith with the divine, but sometimes it's good to hear other stories. Here we have the Two of Wands. So he is really weighing up all the pros and cons. He's looking at his life, he's looking at his world, he's making a decision about the way forward, but he is taking his time. So yes, we know our divine masculines, we know that he's trying to keep the peace, and that he is trying to make the right choices, but he's procrastinating, basically, which is why it's taking some time. But this intention to return is definitely here. He knows that if he returns, that's what will bring his happiness. What else, please? What else, please? Thank you. Yeah, again, we have... How interesting that this has come up. This is all about him giving and taking, you know. He knows that he's got to do his bit to do some giving in this relationship, Divine Femme, because, you know, there may be, for some of you, there's been a real imbalance in the amount of love given, or, you know, and the amount of love received. And how interesting that this came up on the karmic side as well, you know, that that's what she wants. But equally, Divine Femmes, that's what we want. We want this equality, equality, that's not the right word. We want this, what's the word? Oh, I don't know, I'll find another way. We want this fairness, you know, we want to, not that you give to receive, but, you know, there's a limit to how long you can give before you get something back. So, you know, in terms of love, I mean. Let me just gather up the cards because I ended up with them across the table. Right, this is turning into a mega reading, so I'm just going to get a couple more. What else can the Divine Feminine expect, please? So what I'm saying about this give and take card is that it's not about expectation at all. What I'm actually saying is that the Divine Masculine is realising he's got to give to this relationship because he knows that it's been imbalanced. That's the word I was looking for. Imbalanced for a long time. He knows that he hurt you. So for some of you, if there's been arguments in the past or just, you know, the fact that he hasn't been with you, he knows that he hurt you. Okay, so he knows that he's got a lot of you know, healing to do. I'll reword that. He knows that he's got to put things right, basically. And yes, he'll have his own healing to do, of course. But look, he's ready to take a leap of faith, Divine Femmes. Yay! It's all looking good. It's all looking really, really good. I know we can't do timings. It would be unfair of me even to try in a general reading, because, you know, free will and all that gets in the way, and also there's so many of you watching that it won't apply to all of you, so that would be unfair. So let's just do a Moonology card to try and just get some overall advice for you, Divine Femme. What is the overall advice regarding this situation for the Divine Femmes, please, Spirit? Thank you. We've got nothing will come of this situation. Hold on, don't panic. And conclusions are within reach. Okay, so I know when we see this card, it often instills panic in people. It does with me too, so don't worry about it. But what we're seeing here is we're doing a karmic reading, okay? So Spirit is saying to you, look, nothing's going to come of this situation, okay? He may be stuck in this situation now, but nothing's going to come of it. So don't worry about it, okay? Because your conclusions are within reach. There is going to be a resolution and a conclusion to this matter, okay? Since it's a karmic reading, I'm going to take 3. Let's do another card, please, Spirit. What card have you got for the Divine Femmes to reassure them? Okay, yeah. Your dreams need a practical plan. And this is what the Divine Masculine is working on at the moment. And remember, we mirror each other's energy very, very often. So he is working, while he's imagining these scenarios, he's working out how he can step forward and be honest with you. That is him making a practical plan out of his dreams. Okay? Mirror energy. So, yeah, it's happening, Divine Femmes. It's happening, it's just when. But, you know, it's in divine timing. We've always known that. So let's concentrate on being our best selves and let's wait and see how this develops. So I will speak to you all again next Sunday. In the meantime, please have a look at the channel. You know, I will link a couple of the recent Divine Masculine reads to the end of this video. So, you know, please have a look at those too. If any of you would like a private reading, I am open for bookings at the moment. So, you know, don't miss this opportunity. She said, don't miss this. You know what I mean. I won't be taking bookings for long because I have to close them to keep protecting my energy level. So, the details are in the box below, and you would get your own personalised video back to you. So, yeah, I think that's about it. If you haven't subscribed, then please do so. I love to have you on board, and I will speak to you all really soon. Okay, take care, Divine Femmes. Bye.